to make sure that the current serving men and women are given their due respect. And so my son, he will tell anybody that the gratitude and expression they get is due directly to what the Vietnam veterans has done for them and continue.
And welcome. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we got music again. I love it. I can never hear too much of this music. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another jam-packed show. There's just so much to discuss today. I basically don't even know where to start. But once again, this weekend did not lack in news stories. The lamestream media, I'm going to say a couple of things today, folks. I'm going to go ahead and prepare you, because those of you who routinely listen to the show here and routinely hear me talk, you're going to understand where I'm coming from. Those of you who may be new listeners, or those of you who are tuning in from the left of the dial, so to speak. And when I say left of the dial, folks, I don't mean that you're a traditional Democrat. And I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about traditional liberals in respect to some common social issues. When I mention the hard left or today's left, I'm talking about today's Socialist Democrat Party, today's Hippocrat Party. I mean, that's basically what we're looking at today when you talk about Democrats. But I say this because there are going to be some people listening that are going to react to some of the things I'm going to say today, and they're going to call me all kinds of names, which they do anyway, which is, I'm fine with that. I'm a big boy. I can handle it. Look, when you grow up going through high school and college every bit of 5'3", and that's if I'm wearing the right shoes, you toughen up a bit, and so I can take it. I can take some name calling. In fact, I always know when I win an argument with a liberal. As soon as they start calling me names, then I know the argument has been won. So anyway, all right, folks, enough of that. As always, welcome to the show. This is On Point with Victor. I am Victor Armendariz. You guys can say it with me. I have people here in the studio that have been rolling their R's ever since I started that. But thanks again for listening. This is America's Web Radio. As always, check us out, americaswebradio.com. My show, believe it or not, is not the only show here. We have lots and lots of good shows. Check out americaswebradio.com. Everything from my show, On Point with Victor, where we'll discuss today's topics. And then there are shows all the way to a classic car show, which is an incredible show that's actually reached audiences across the pond. There's David's Pick show, which you never know what David's going to talk about, so you should definitely tune into that. There's Locked and Loaded with Roger B. Anything and everything you ever wanted to know about guns, be sure to tune in, and his show follows mine. So when you're tuned in today, 2 to 3, listening to On Point with Victor, you hang in there at 3 o'clock, and you'll listen to Locked and Loaded with Roger B. In fact, I have a little bit of heads-up news. He's going to have a special guest today. So you're going to want to, just got the station manager here and owner is looking at me like, what? But lots to be heard, folks. So americaswebradio.com, that is the website. You want to email me, victor@americaswebradio.com, victor@americaswebradio.com. Send me your questions, send me your comments. You can do pretty much anything, especially if you disagree. Just don't call me names. You can, but I'm not going to answer you. I'm happy to have a lively debate with anyone. Heck, if you're a liberal out there and you have a good point, or you have a good argument, or you want to make a case, I'll even bring you onto the show. So if you're out there and you're part of the Democrat Party, if you're part of any Democrat Party out there and you want to have a debate with me on air, let's do it. Let's have a discussion. We won't have to call it a debate. We can call it a discussion. Just be nice. That's all I ask. Be nice. Let me deviate here. I'll tell a quick story. The other night, I was on my motorcycle with a friend of mine, and we rode up to local Mellow Mushroom. to watch a soccer game. We wanted to watch Atlanta United. We're big Atlanta United fans. And I ride up to the parking lot. Parking lot's full because apparently college football started. I did not know this because I don't follow football that very closely, college or pro. But I am a soccer fan, so we went there to go see soccer. So we ride up, and the parking lot's full. And I'm riding, and again, mind you, I'm on my motorcycle, and my buddy's with me. He's on a motorcycle as well. So we can pretty much park anywhere we want. But we're riding around, and we're looking for a spot, and then somebody jumped in the car, and they're about to leave. So I stop, I brake, I back up, and we're waiting for this person to back out. Well, a car zooms up behind us, and he pulls up next to him, and he starts screaming at me, yelling, that's my spot, that's my spot. I was sitting here, and I went, you're sitting behind me. I said, you can be first after me for the next spot that opens. But this guy was losing his mind, and I just started yelling and raising his voice and everything to me. And I looked at him and I said, look, I'm going to tell you something here. I'm on a motorcycle, so I can go park on the sidewalk, which is where I was going to head next until that spot started to open. And I looked at him, I said, why don't you try being nice? Why don't you try rolling down the window and saying, hey, I've got some people to meet. I've got a hot date waiting for me inside. I got a car. You've got a bike. Is there any way you can let me take this spot? And, man, maybe you can go park on the sidewalk or whatever. I'll even talk to the manager of the restaurant to make sure they'll allow you to park there. Nicety. Just be nice. And this guy, I will give him credit because I let him have the space, and I went and parked somewhere else. And he got out of his car, and he went over, and he saw me parking, and he waited for me. And he came over, and he apologized. And he said, you're absolutely right. I shouldn't have assumed, and I shouldn't have been mean. I shouldn't have been nasty. I shouldn't have raised my voice. And he actually apologized. So I will give him credit for that. So that's just a quick story about being nice. But
you didn't even say you recognized me.
Oh, this is true. I wasn't going to divulge your name. So, folks, that was David, the owner of the station here. No, but my point there is when you are on the other side, and that's if you're on the right, if you're on the left, you're in the middle, no matter what, and you come across somebody who has a different point of view than yours, engage them in a conversation, but you don't have to be mean. You don't have to call names. Look, politics should never get between you and family or you and friends or anything like that. You should be able to have a discussion. That's what's beautiful about this country, is you have the right to believe what you want to believe. And if you engage in discussion, you're making the decision to engage in discussion. So if you do that, do it with niceties, and you might be surprised. You might actually, if your goal, which most people's goal when they get into political speak, is they want to bring someone to their side. They want to persuade. Well, if you're going to engage in the art of persuasion, you're not going to do it with name calling. You're not going to do it with threatening acts. You're not going to do it with raising your voice. So just keep that in mind. And I'm bringing that all up because I highly encourage anyone on the left, anyone who believes in socialism, communism, whatever you believe in, if you want to come in and sit down with me, you're more than welcome to. If you want to email me, you're more than welcome to. If you want to interact with me live on the Facebook right now, on America's Web Radio's Facebook page, you can watch and interact with me live right now. Do it. Just do it with a little bit of niceties. You never know. We may agree more than you think we'll agree, and if we don't agree, that's fine too. So, all right, on with the show. I've bored you guys enough with my crazy stories. As I mentioned, there's so much to talk about. I don't even know where to begin. But one of the things I want to bring up is there's a storm brewing, and I'm not talking about Hurricane Dorian, and I'll get to that in a few. But there's a media storm developing right now, and it's about hit a Cat 3, Cat 4, with the narrative that the media is trying to set up with in terms of General Mattis, Mad Dog Mattis. The media is trying to get you to believe that Mad Dog absolutely hated Trump, that he couldn't stand working with Trump, and that he just is waiting and chomping at the bit to badmouth Trump. That's what the media wants you to believe right now, and it couldn't be further from the truth. Look, were there differences between General Madison and Trump? Absolutely there were. Were there drifts between them? Yeah, absolutely. Were there arguments or discussions? Yeah, I'm sure there were. But Mad Dog Madison, General Madison, is not going to go on the leftist, lamestream media tour bad-mouthing Donald J. Trump. Madison's not going to do it. General Madison didn't become a general because he's an ideologue. He didn't become a general because he was thin-skinned. General Mad Dog Madison is revered and loved by many because of his tough stances that he takes. And he's not going to go around. This guy is military. This guy is the greatest generation military. He's from that era. And I can tell you right now, Madison is not going to go and give CNN what they want. He's not going to give MSNBC, ABC, NBC, any of that. He's not going to give them what they want, because the only reason they want to bring him on is because they're hoping and praying that he's going to badmouth President Trump. He's not going to do it. I venture to tell you that Madison is just going to say, I had a job to do. I went in and did it. It was an honor to be chosen by the President of the United States to do it. And that's probably what he's going to say. He'll probably say that he had some differences. Maybe they had everybody has policy difference, folks. Everybody does. I don't care if you come from the same party. There's going to be policy difference. There's going to be a way that you may want to approach it that's going to be different from someone else. And that's what happens. And I think that's what you're going to see Mattis. I mean, we're already seeing General Mattis in front of some of the media types that are just beside themselves because he won't badmouth President Trump. He won't say President Trump is not capable of being the president. In fact, I can't remember which outlet it was, but he's already been asked, and they tried to lead General Mattis into saying that Donald Trump was not qualified to be president. And Mattis, in the beautiful General Mattis, and only the way he can do it, he responded with something like, look, the American people elected President Trump. Of course he's qualified to be president. And then he went on to talk about how he was honored to serve. And yes, they had some policy differences, but he had a job to do, and he went there to do it. And Mattis even said everybody should be that way. If you have a job to do, you go do that job. And so that's just something, because that storm is brewing right now, and you've got the media creating this narrative and trying to do everything they can to get Mattis. I wanted you guys to be aware of that. If you are watching different news outlets, just pay attention to how they're trying to get General Mattis to fall into their narrative, because the media's already set the narrative that they want to set before General Mattis even gets on the shows. They're just hoping that he will give fodder to their narrative so they can run with that narrative and say, see, look, we knew Donald Trump was crazy. That's what they want to do. But rest assured, I don't think General Mattis is going to give them that kind of fodder. He's just not going to do it. The man is whether you disagree with him or not, or agree with him or not, General Mattis is a pretty sharp guy. All right, so we have so much on the topic rundowns to get to today. I have to mention the hurricane. So this is where I'm going to get into probably saying a couple of things that a few people are probably, look, there are going to be some people on the left who are going to, who knows what they're going to call me, but that's okay. But you don't have to take this from me. As I tell you guys all the time, you awesome listeners out there, listen to what I say and enjoy my show, because I couldn't be here if it weren't for you guys. But look things up for yourself. So what I'm about to tell you, look it up for yourself, because you can go, maybe not yet to YouTube, but you can do some research and or just start watching some of the news coverage. But if you look back at the news coverage coming in when this hurricane started forming, it was doom and gloom, doom and gloom, doom and gloom. Now, I understand some of this is because of ratings. Look, we haven't had a major hurricane hit the United States for quite a while now, so viewership at weather.com or whatever the big one is it's been falling, and so they're going to do everything to get those ratings back up. So hang on right there. You know what? Let's go ahead and take the break. And when we come back from this break, I'm going to get into to some of the reporting that was done on the hurricane, and I'll give you an update on the hurricane. So you stay tuned. You'll be right back. You're listening to On Point with Victor, America's Web Radio.
The disease of addiction is a life-altering challenge, not just for the person suffering its effects, but also for the family and friends who support and love the one caught in its grasp. What should be the course of treatment? Who is the best person to render treatment? And what is the best place to go for the care that is needed? We know that you want answers to these and many more questions. Call 770-696-9862 and speak to a representative of the Atlanta Healing Center. They can tailor a program specifically designed to address the needs of the person suffering with an addiction, or give you guidance as to where that help may be found. Information is the key, and the trained staff at AHC is here to assist. If you wish, you can also get more information on the website located at www.atlantahealingcenter.com.
Get your pen and paper ready. If there's a move in your near future, I'm here to tell you that the folks I used and now recommend is Around Town Movers. Timothy and the guys recently moved me, and I am and was totally satisfied with a sometimes not so fun experience moving. Call Timothy at 770-378-4708 and make it a good move and a good experience. Around Town Movers for that local or cross-country move. Timothy, Around Town Movers, in my opinion, are the best. That's Around Town Movers. Call them.
This is Dr. Susan Blank, Medical Director for the Atlanta Healing Center. Our team is able to offer a multitude of treatment options such as quantitative EEG, also known as brain mapping, hormonal and nutritional assessments, neuropsychological testing, and cognitive therapy, along with traditional 12-step facilitation. And we can even offer you, if appropriate, a gentle medically managed detox. Please contact us at 770-696-9862.
Okay, folks, and we're back on America's Web Radio and on point with Victor Armendariz.
That's good.
Hey, I've been practicing, you know. Some people sing in the shower. I just do my, whatever. Never mind. I just want to remind everybody that very shortly we'll be coming out with a new blog on our Facebook page, or on our web page, and you might want to check it out. It's got we want to hear from you, and everybody has a pet peeve, or more than one pet peeve.
Probably more than one.
And I listed many of my pet peeves, and if you've got one that's not listed there, we'd like to hear from you, and list it, and we'll talk about it. And there are all sorts of pet peeves and whatever's that are going around. And hey, this is interesting. Why is this?
Well, you know, it's live radio. So
It's live radio, yeah. And the other thing, folks, is that if you have, we think we're on we're on the major ones, but every podcast server, we feel like we're on that sucker. But if for some reason you can't find us on the podcast server that you use, please email GM at America's Web Radio, General Manager, GM, and he will take care of making sure that Brett gets us on that podcast server, because we want to be on every one of them. We're acknowledged now as being one of, if not the largest, producing podcast radio stations in the country, and it's due to the fact that we've got fantastic hosts like Victor and like Roger and like Susan Blank coming in here, and I don't know for sure what Roger's going to be talking about, other than guns, but guns and more guns. And Susan Blank, our resident psychiatrist, will be talking about, there was another death due to vaping, and I think she's going to follow through on, she did a show on it the other day, and I think she's going to be following through with another show on vaping. It is of epidemic proportion and getting worse, and we're gonna try to help do something about it. So with that being said, let's do this. Where is that sucker? I can't find it. I was gonna.
It's live radio.
It's live radio, and I think I'm dead. So what can I say?
Well, that's just the way it goes.
Dead and buried and doesn't know it. But anyway, where we go? We'll just do it again.
We're officially back now, ladies and gentlemen, to the Unemployable Liquor Show. So, look, we'll have fun here, guys. If you ever get a chance, you should really watch in the studio. Not to see my crazy, ugly mug, but when you see my facial expressions, it's usually because the behind-the-scenes studio guys here are making me laugh, and we just have a good time here, and love bringing you the news, and love bringing you common sense and logic. The common sense and logic analysis that I bring, that's what On Point with Victor is all about. We can get bogged down in these crazy narratives and the media is fighting each other for ratings, and not really get a good analysis of the day's events and the things that are going on. And that's what I like to do here at On Point with Victor, is bring a common sense and logic analysis of what's going on, and that's why I do my topic rundown. You know, the topic rundown is it's what we're getting known for here, and let's see, we've already hit two today. Well, I started on the second one, so let me get back to that. So Hurricane Dorian, look, folks, we haven't dodged the bullet, but we've definitely dodged the blast, at least most of Florida. What I was alluding to before we went to the break was you've got, if you look and just do some research and look at the narrative that the media was putting out, folks, the media on CNN, MSNBC, ABC, NBC, you name it, the mainstream media, they were all hoping that they were going to be able to report the destruction of Mar-a-Lago today. Folks, there is a problem in this country right now, and it begins with the mainstream media, and that some people refer to as the mainstream media. Ladies and gentlemen, when you have the free press out there, and by God, it should be free press, and we better keep it the free press, and that's what the First Amendment is all about, which, to my amazement, the left is constantly attacking the First Amendment, constantly attacking the freedom of religion, constantly attacking the freedom of speech. But that's a whole nother show. But for this purpose, if you listen to these so-called journalists and the so-called members of the free press who are actively talking over the weekend about this hurricane hitting Mar-a-Lago, they weren't just saying the possible. They were bringing up Mar-a-Lago time after time after time, that it's a Trump property and the hurricane's making it. And then they wanted this place destroyed. Now, think about it, folks. Just because the mainstream or lamestream media has such a problem with President Trump, and just because they want to get rid of him so bad, they're willing to almost call for the destruction of one of his properties or several of his properties without even stopping to think. Now look, this is coming from the left. This is coming from the so-called caring Democrats, the so-called we feel your pain Democrats. If Mar-a-Lago had been destroyed, do you know how many other houses would have been destroyed? Do you know how many homes around that area would have been destroyed? Many of them occupied and owned by the elite leftist Democrats themselves. So you have these media journalists and some of these members in the press and Democrat Party who would have loved to have been able to see Mar-a-Lago destroyed and be underwater today, thinking that that would have been points for them against Trump. And then they could have come out with a narrative. They would have come out saying, God takes revenge on Trump. I mean, look, they're not beneath this. This is what they would do. And it's despicable. But they don't even consider the innocent lives and people that would have been possibly killed or lost their homes just by calling or just by hoping that Mar-a-Lago, that area, would have been hit by this storm. I mean, it's pretty sad that we've got a media that does that. But on the bright side, and to the dismay of some of these journalists, Hurricane Dorian has not only has it been weakening, it is now, the last time I checked, it is a Cat 2. And I would check now, but my laptop decided to die. So I can't check right now. But the last time I checked about an hour ago, Dorian was down, weakened to a Cat 2. Now look, Cat 2 is still a pretty dangerous storm. And the other good news is this storm is making the turn. It's staying off the coast of Florida. Now, that's not to say. Now, remember, I said we dodged the bullet. I mean, we dodged the storm. Let me rephrase. We dodged the blast, but not the bullet, because some of these outer bands are still going to hit Florida. They're still going to hit Georgia, and North Carolina looks like they may get the worst of this storm. So those people, if you're in that area, you need to take heed, and you need to be ready for this storm. Just because it's weakening and just because it's staying offshore doesn't mean it's not going to cause damage. The reason I bring up the good news that it is losing steam and that it is staying offshore is because it's not going to do nearly the damage that it could have done and was going to do to Florida. I mean, folks, if this thing had a hit as a Cat 5 and slammed into Florida or or Georgia or the Carolinas, it was going to be bad. It was going to be bad news. We haven't even seen pictures come out of Bahamas yet, Freeport, Bahamas. This storm not only slammed into them, it decided to stop and take a break on top of them. They had to endure 165, 185 mile an hour plus winds. And if you know the Bahamas, not exactly known for their well-built homes and buildings and things of that sort. So it's going to be a bad situation there. And I know the United States will be the first to offer aid, and I hope that other countries in the region come to the aid of the Bahamas because they're going to need it. But the good news is this storm has weakened, and it is staying offshore. So Florida, it looks like you're going to be spared, but still you're going to get some rain. You're going to get some storm surge, so be on the lookout for that. And Carolinas, you guys pay attention, because this storm, depending on what it does when it passes Florida and Georgia, it could still make landfall in the Carolinas. So let's all be wary of that. So, all right, so that's, and again, you can look up some of these media stories. I mean, because it's absolutely insane. And the sad thing is you've got Democrats, you've got candidates on the Democrat side who already had their narratives and were already trying to blame Donald Trump for this storm. Now, let me give you a quick lesson here. The problem with what the media does is they outright lie to you. And the problem with some of these Democrats is they outright will lie to you. And either they're outright lying to you or they just don't know. And they don't take the time to look at the history. And they just repeat and regurgitate what the leftist media is telling them. And then you've got some establishment Republicans that will buy into this mess. And there is nothing more. You know, the only thing that ticks me off more than a socialist Democrat and some of these candidates is when the establishment Republicans join hand and start running with this ridiculous narrative and wrong narrative that will get put out there. One of the things you're going to hear, and mark my words, you're going to hear this because they've already started. But you're going to hear them, the weather.com, you're going to hear CNN, MSNBC, all these guys are going to come out and say, these are the worst storms we've had in 4 years. We've had the most Cat 5s in 4 years, and this, that, and the strongest this, the strongest that, the warmest waters, blah, 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 blah. Look, you can look up and do some research on the history of hurricanes and the history of the hurricanes that have hit Florida. And ladies and gentlemen, the last seven, not the last seven, but these seven similar hurricanes that were very strong and hit very similar temperature waters all happened before the 1950s. Let me repeat that, before the 1950s. So I venture to say that in the 1950s and before the 1950s, we didn't have a lot of people running around accusing you of killing the planet because you were driving a car or flying on an airplane. So this is what I mean by people not paying attention or learning history, or if you are an elected official or you're part of the media or a journalist, or if you are a candidate seeking the highest office in the land, which would be the President of the United States, if you're any of those people and you don't take the time to verify a narrative that you're hearing, then you ought to be ashamed of yourself, because it's your duty to tell the truth to the American people. All right, folks, time is flying by. We got the bottom of the hour break here. You stay tuned. We will be right back. This is On Point with Victor, America's Web Radio.
The disease of addiction is a life-altering challenge, not just for the person suffering its effects, but also for the family and friends who support and love the one caught in its grasp. What should be the course of treatment? Who is the best person to render treatment? And what is the best place to go for the care that is needed? We know that you want answers to these and many more questions. Call 770-696-9862 and speak to a representative of the Atlanta Healing Center. They can tailor a program specifically designed to address the needs of the person suffering with an addiction or give you guidance as to where that help may be found. Information is the key, and the trained staff at AHC is here to assist. If you wish, you can also get more information on the website located at www.atlantahealingcenter.com.
Whether cruising the strip in a 57 Chevy or taking the family on a vacation in a 71 Oldsmobile Vista Cruiser, you need to tune in to Classic Cars with Steve Ronaldo and Jim Weber every Saturday from 8 to 9 a.m. on americaswebradio.com.
45 years of experience is behind the most trusted name in auto transportation. Passport Transport, the first and finest today. That's why Passport Transport is the preferred auto transport for major auto manufacturers, concours, museums, tours, and collectors, and should be your choice from across the state to across the country. When you have the need, go to PassportTransport.com and enjoy the peace of mind referenced experience will give you. Passport Transport.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
And welcome back. On Point with Victor. I am Victor Armendariz. Thanks for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. This is awesome. You guys are so great. This show is a fast-growing show, and it's only because of you. All right, let's get back to this. So I want you guys to look up and see some stand by, folks. I have a I have a message coming.
Yeah, we've got a new blog coming out. It'll be out this afternoon, as a matter of fact. So go to our website, and we also we ask for your help. If you're on, or if you're using a podcast server and we're not on it, would you please let us know, because we want to be on every podcast server available. Mm-hmm. And we're on every one that we know about, every one we've been able to find. But if you can't get us on your telephone or on your podcast server, let us know which one it is, and we will be on it. So, with that being said, back to Victor Armendariz.
You get better and better at that.
Well, my gosh, you're making me pay for lessons.
Pretty soon I'll have you speaking Spanish. Look, folks, we are, if not the largest, one of the largest live podcasting radio shows out there. America's Web Radio is kind of the wave of the future. Look, when podcasts are everywhere, and this isn't being done out of somebody's basement. This is America's Web Radio. We're studios in Atlanta, Georgia, and it's an awesome place to be. And you can find us. You can find my shows and any other show here on iTunes and any other podcast forum. But if you do find a podcast forum that does not carry America's Web Radio or my show, On Point with Victor, then you just let us know. Email gm@americaswebradio.com, gm@americaswebradio.com, and we'll make sure we get it on there. But we're on most of them. We're even on Spotify. So you might even be able to ask Alexa to play On Point with Victor, and she might be able to do it. But if she can't, you let us know. All right, folks, let's get back to this. So like I was saying before the break, if you just check out, pay attention. Don't just soak in what these so-called journalists are telling you. If you like CNN, hey, great. You can keep your... Oh, wait a minute. I almost went into I had an Obama moment. If you like it, Dr. Keep... Okay, anyway. If you like CNN, watch it. You know what? If you like MSNBC, fine, watch it. But don't take what these people tell you at face value. Don't just soak it in and regurgitate it. Same with Fox News. If you watch Fox News, don't just take everything you hear. no matter what you're watching, you should do some type of verification for yourself. Go look for multiple sources that will verify what you're hearing. And this is what every elected official should be doing before they go and regurgitate this narrative, this false narrative crap to the American people. I mean, it's just sad when we've got a media out there that they're not concerned with the truth, folks. They're more concerned about getting rid of Donald Trump. The media gets up every day and they start their day with, how can we get rid of Donald Trump? What can we do today to get rid of Donald Trump? I mean, it's pretty sad. And look, I don't mean 100% of the media, but the majority of the mainstream media, that's exactly how they start their day, with their grande latte, snowflake covered whatever latte. And the question they ask themselves is, how come we haven't been able to get rid of Trump, and how are we going to do it? It's sad. But if you go and look, I'm telling you, if you go look up, you're going to make yourself laugh when you see the reporting, how they reported this hurricane. And then it's pretty sad that these reporters were actually hoping for a devastating hurricane. And that's what I'm talking about when I opened the show and I said I was going to say some things that are going to inflame the left. I'm not trying to be inflammatory. I'm just trying to get you to go do a little research and see for yourself. But the media out there and some of the people on the left and Democrats, they're going to accuse me of being inflammatory. And they'll be real quick to accuse me of saying some really bad things when they won't police themselves. So some of the stuffs I do here, I'll just tell you right off the bat. I will demonstrate absurdity with absurdity. I will say things like this to get your attention because I want you to see what's going on out there. And the media will be so quick to come after somebody like me, but they rather than themselves or policing themselves. So all right. So anyway, so we'll move on a little bit away. Let's get into some more topic rundown. One of the other things I wanted to mention, you're not hearing a lot about it, and it may be because of the hurricane. You know, let's face it, the hurricane, it's kind of taken front and center, as well it should, because we've got to let people know what's going on and let people know to get out of harm's way. But there was another shooting. There was a shooting this weekend. There was a dirtbag in Texas who went to work in the morning, was fired. This guy apparently is very angry. This guy was known to have some issues. I mean, here we go again, folks. Here's a guy that shot and killed some people, who was known to have some issues, known to have anger problems, previously arrested, failed a background check, but yet this guy went out like all criminals will do and found a way to get a weapon, found a way to get a weapon that he would be able to hurt people, went into his job, got fired, got angry. Now let me tell you what this guy did. This guy didn't shoot up his workplace. He calls 911 and tells the police and rambles on about something going on in the workplace. He calls the FBI hotline. The FBI hotline. And he rambles on some incoherent things, according to some reports. And then he leaves. Gets in his car and drives away. Now, a local police officer pulls him over unknown. And this police officer doesn't know that he's made the call to 911. He doesn't know he made the call to the FBI. He just pulls him over because the guy made a lane change with failure to signal. So he gets pulled over, and this guy takes his rifle and starts shooting. And he starts shooting at the officer, and then he takes off. And he goes and he flees the police and shoots while he's driving. So he's just trying to spray bullets to hit as many people as he can. I guess he figured he was going to go down, so he was going to go down in a rain of fire. So he flees from the police, he shoots, and it's a sad situation. Luckily, the cops did catch up with him, and they did send him to his celestial dirt nap. So they were able to do that and rid us of this guy. But unfortunately, we're going to see more reports and more Democrats. And in fact, you're already hearing O'Rourke, the fake Hispanic candidate for president, out there talking about how he's going to ban guns. So instead of talking about what signs were missed from this guy, why was the background check denied? And once that background check is denied and you see that this guy's attempting to get a firearm, then why wasn't something put on him? Why didn't law enforcement go, okay, whoa, this guy was denied, now he's calling us 911 and he's saying incoherent things? You know, there are signs there. And again, this guy exhibited signs, showed signs, even in talking to his neighbors, they're saying, hey, this guy, we were scared of him. So there were plenty of signs there, and this guy was not a legal gun owner. He was not a law-abiding American citizen. But yet, because of his actions, the left media, the lamestream media, the Democrat candidates, and the Democrat Party are going to tell you, Mr. Law-Abiding Citizen and Mrs. Law-Abiding Citizen, you can no longer have a right that is specifically spelled out in the United States Constitution, but you can no longer have that one because this guy, this was a criminal and intent on harming and went through criminal ways to get his weapon. Because of him, you, Mr. and Mrs. Law-Abiding Citizen of the United States, can no longer have the right that is spelled out for you in the Constitution. That's going to be their narrative. So pay attention and be on guard for that, folks. Look, I know the emotions of these things happening are bad and can take you to a bad place. I know it's hard to deal with these shootings when they happen, but you have to be able to step back and question when 100% of the Democrat nominees for president, when 100% of the Democrat Party, or at least, we'll say 98% to protect myself, but when 98% of a political party is trying to take away one of your civil liberties, when it's same thing with climate change, folks. When a political party in almost in 100% unison is telling you on one hand that the earth is going to die, the earth is going to burn up, or the earth is going to flood, or there's not going to be any more food, people are going to die, and then on the other hand, they do all the things that they're telling you not to do, you got to question that. So just be on guard. This is what I'm saying is be on guard, because the left and the today's Democrat Party, they're coming after power over you. Every issue they can come up with, you can trace back to power over you, the individual. And ladies and gentlemen, fellow patriots, this country was not founded on groupism. It wasn't founded to give the central federal government the kind of power of monarchies. That's what we fled. That's what the revolution was about. Folks, this country was born in the light of freedom. It was born in the flame of liberty. It was born because the actions of individuals. That is what's great about this country. Folks, stay right there. We're going to our next break. We will be right back. This is On Point with Victor, America's Web Radio.
And we want to remind everybody one more time that they can go to YouTube and subscribe and get this show and many, many other shows that we do here at America's Web Radio, and download them and listen to them, watch them, whatever you want to do. Or you can go to Facebook and Facebook Live. We ask that you follow us on Facebook and that you subscribe to YouTube. And that way you can keep up with what's going on. And as I mentioned earlier on, we have other shows that'll be coming on, and we've got some cool things that we're going to be doing here. So we're growing, and we feel very proud to be appreciated by so many folks that are listening to us and downloading our shows. We have hundreds of thousands of downloads per month, which is a big number, and we appreciate it, and we appreciate the folks that tune in and listen to the live shows and or watch them. They can be watched live on YouTube or on Facebook. All you have to do is subscribe to YouTube and follow us on Facebook. So with that being said, we'll be back right after a couple of words from our sponsors.
Perhaps you are struggling to cope with the disease of addiction. If not, you probably know a family member or friend that needs help in battling the cravings and the personal and professional damage done by the effects of drugs or alcohol. Get a pen and paper and be ready to write down the following. These are the issues that the trained staff at the Atlanta Healing Center address and treat every day. Their doctors and counselors with over 40 years of practice in the field of addiction can treat the suffering individual in a thoughtful, compassionate, and experienced manner and guide him or her along the path to recovery. So call 770-696-9862 and speak to a knowledgeable staff member about how you or your loved one can be helped to enjoy a better and healthier life. More information is also available on the website at www.thehealingcenter.com.
Quick Stakes, that's Q-U-I-K Stakes, are not just for surveyors. They are great for family and community gardens. Go online to www.quickstake.com or contact your local land surveying supply dealer and get you a box of Quick Stakes. You'll love them every year when you plant your garden. Again, that's Quick Stakes, Q-U-I-K Stakes, the truly preferred way to stake and identify what's in your garden now.
The Docs for Patient Care Foundation is your way to join the fight and become a member of an organization created by doctors for patients dedicated to fighting for your healthcare freedom and preserving the doctor-patient relationship. Get a pen and paper. Write down www.docsforpatientcarefoundation.org. That's www.docsforpatientcarefoundation.org. Go to our site and please make a generous tax-deductible donation and join the fight today. Thank you.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
And we're back, folks. We had a great listener that chimed in just a minute ago and had a good point. Very astutely, this listener pointed out that not only, it's never going to stop with one civil right. So when I talk about the Democrats coming after the Second Amendment, this listener astutely pointed out they won't stop there. I mean, imagine if they can get rid of the Second Amendment and take that right away from you, what's to stop them from taking away the First Amendment right from you? What's to stop them from taking away the Fifth Amendment? What's to stop the Fourth Amendment, where they can just enter your home and search whatever they want to search? Because without that Fourth Amendment protection, you're pretty much screwed.
Well, Victor, I've got the answer. What's gonna do it? What's gonna change it? America's Web Radio.
Oh, America's Web Radio. That is absolutely right. So, look, we fight these issues one at a time here on America's Web Radio, especially with On Point with Victor and Locked and Loaded and some of the other shows we have here. But it's true. This listener made a great point. If a political party in this country is so crass or so, let's just say, if they're so willing to come after the Second Amendment, folks, it is the Second Amendment for a reason. It is so well spelt out in the Constitution. There is no ambiguity behind the Second Amendment. You can read the Second Amendment, and then you can read what every amendment we have. There is a Federalist paper somewhere. There is a writing somewhere. There is some type of documentation that was written that showed how the Founding Fathers got to that amendment. And there is nothing more well spelt out than the Second Amendment. And you can look it up and read how the Founding Fathers came to it. It wasn't lightly. And there's no ambiguity there either. That right is an individual right. It is an individual right, just as the First Amendment is. But folks, just as this listener pointed out that they won't stop with that one, they'll come after more. They're already trying to take the First Amendment away. Ladies and gentlemen, if you just listen and pay attention to the left, they are the ones that are trying to shout down speech. They are the ones that shout down speakers on college campuses. They are the ones that are threatening speakers because they just want to speak an opposing view. This stuff is coming from the left. This stuff is coming from a fascist left. And I say that, again, I say this on purpose because that's what it is. When you look at Antifa, Antifa is the new strong arm of the Democrat Party. When was the last time you saw the Democrat Party say anything negative about Antifa? Folks, Antifa beat the hell out of a gay journalist. You didn't hear much about that. Antifa beat the crap out of an old man just trying to drive by. You didn't hear about that. They are doing the very things that the brown shirts did and the black shirts under Hitler and under Mussolini. That's fascism, folks. And that's what the left is engaging in, along with their socialism. So you got to look at the actions. You guys will hear me say, don't just listen to words. Pay attention to the actions. Pay attention to the actions that people are actually doing. So if an Antifa person comes out and they're saying on the media, well, we're here because we want to protect this right and that right, just go watch their actions when somebody tries to speak to them and they shout them down or they get physical and threatening violence done against them. It's kind of ridiculous. But it is the left right now. It is the Democrat Party that's coming after the First Amendment. Ladies and gentlemen, you can't even question. You can't even question a lady who brings a horse, a miniature horse, to get on the airplane with her. I am not making that up. If you don't believe me, do a little quick search on DuckDuckGo or Google and search horse gets on an airplane. Because there was a traveler over the weekend that took her miniature horse because it was an emotional support animal. And today, you can't question that. If you question that, you're going to be called all kinds of names. So I'm just telling you, you need to pay attention with who's actually coming after your civil rights, who's actually coming after your freedoms. Who is the party that's actually coming after individualism? Because it's the Democrat Party. You won't hear. Here's a test for you. Watch the next Democrat candidate's debate. I know it's hard, but watch it. Look, if I have to watch it, you should watch it. No, you don't have to, but you should try and watch the next debate or any other speech that a Democrat gives, and count how many times you hear the word individualism. Count how many times you hear the word freedom or liberty or American exceptionalism. You won't hear it. You won't hear it. You definitely aren't going to hear individualism because they hate that word. They hate the concept of individualism. But do that little test for me, ladies and gentlemen. Just the next time you're watching a Democrat give a speech, or if you can bear it, watch the Democrat debate and try and count how many times you hear the word individualism or individualist or Americanism, exceptionalism, anything like that, liberty, freedom. Just count how many times you hear that, because you trust me, you're not going to hear it much, if at all. So, all right, I want to move on to another topic here. This is, the show flies by. This is one of the quickest hours, if not the quickest hour in podcast radio. I've got a question that's going to be asked. It needs to be asked. And in fact, there is I believe it was the New York Times that had an article out basically asking this question. Does Biden even want to be president? And this was a question that I think some people are starting to ask themselves. Look, if you've been listening to me, I've been telling you Biden's not going to be the nominee, and I still stand by that. I don't believe these polls that Biden's leading by that much, if he's leading at all. But I stand by my prediction that Biden's not going to be the nominee. And every time I see Biden come out and try and speak, look, they're limiting him how much he goes out. But even still, he is still one heck of a gaffe machine when he comes out and he speaks. And my goodness, this whole business about the military, the story he's been telling about pinning a medal on a serviceman's chest and going to the front lines to do it. Folks, this story is 98% wrong, and the way he's telling it, it's 100% wrong. You can call it plagiarism, you can call it lying. Biden has been knowingly telling this story completely wrong, and I'm trying to be a little nice here because I'm starting to feel sorry for the guy. It's pretty crazy, but he's been running around telling this story that has been completely wrong, and he's not going to be called out on it. Now there's been to their credit, a couple of journalists have questioned him on this, And his only response is, well, the details don't matter. It was the effect of my story that should matter. That's pretty much crazy, folks. That's pretty much saying I'm lying to try and get my way. I'm trying to lie my way to the nomination, but that shouldn't matter, because what should matter is I'm the guy who can beat Trump, and that's all that should matter. I should get the nomination. That's basically what he's saying. And I'm telling you, this, like I told you before, I think I don't even know if he's going to make it to Iowa, but I do believe he's on his way out, especially after this military story that he was lying about. And now, just some of the things that he's saying, and the gaps that he continues to make, and this low energy, boy, what a great name for him, low energy Biden. You know, Trump may have had it a little wrong calling Bush low energy, calling Jeb Bush. Jeb Bush looks like a track star compared to Biden, but we got to ask the question. So here we are. If you still think that Biden is going to be the nominee, you've got to start asking yourself: does Biden really want to be the nominee? I myself am kind of hoping that he would make it. I think it would be an absolute gift for Biden to win the nomination and go up against Trump. I mean, just what he has said in the last 3 or 4 months is going to be gold for commercials for Trump to use. But I just don't believe this guy's going to make it. He was asked the other day, how badly do you want to become president? And you got to look this up, because, look, Joe Biden has been running for president for 30 plus years. I mean, this guy threw his hat in the ring over 30 years ago for the first time. For anyone out there who thinks that Biden doesn't want to be president, well, you're kidding yourself. This guy's been wanting to be president since he was an adult. Now, the question is, does he have the fortitude, and why is he running to be president, and why is he running to be president? So you got to ask yourself, but look up when he asked when he was asked the question, how badly do you want to become president? Because the answer he gave it was great. I mean, he ought to be able to rattle an answer off really quick, but he went into nothing but reasons why Trump shouldn't be president. Anti-Trump, Trump bad, Trump bad, Trump bad. That was his answer. And folks, if you're running for president and that's your only thing, then that's just not going to cut it, especially when you've been running for as long as Joe Biden's been running. All right, folks, that is it today. I'm going to have to leave it right there. Be sure to tune in next week, because I'll get to all the stuff I didn't get to today. So tune in next week. Guys, hang on right there. Locked and Loaded's coming up next. You're listening to America's Web Radio. Thanks for listening.
The disease of addiction is a life-altering challenge, not just for the person suffering its effects, but also for the family and friends who support and love the one caught in its grasp. What should be the course of treatment? Who is the best person to render treatment? And what is the best place to go for the care that is needed? We know that you want answers to these and many more questions. Call 770-696-9862 and speak to a representative of the Atlanta Healing Center. They can tailor a program specifically designed